Welcome back to the Blue Podcast Network. This is the Diamond Show. We are finally back. I am joined here by Zakina and by Lloyd.
Yeah.
And we have a lot to get through, surely,
Yes.
because I think our last game week that we went through was the 2nd of March. It is now, the 10th of April.
Yeah.
So we have a lot
Not
to
too
get
much,
through.
just a
Lot
little
to
bit.
talk about.
And let's start, I guess, with, that was the 2nd of March was the last game day. Where do we want to start? I think we'll probably start at Brighton because,
Yeah,
at
Brighton,
home against
Chelsea
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Massive point for them. Chelsea not great in that game, really.
No.
Honestly, it was so long ago, actually, I'm
No.
realising. But I think it's funny because we ended off the last show going, I think we were saying Arsenal were in good form. The teams at the top were in good form. However, over the last few game weeks, it's kind of only Arsenal that have continued up that good form. A lot of other teams have been dropping points,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because, I don't remember when we actually started filming this podcast. Was it September? No. Was it earlier this year?
It would have been in January, I
I
think.
believe January
then-
was the
yeah.
first
It was
one.
January.
Yeah.
And then I could have sworn we were talking about, just not knowing at what point Chelsea could drop points and, because the gap was really big between,
Yeah,
first
it
and
was
second.
huge.
It was so big. It was like, oh, my gosh. But out of nowhere, it's like these, mid-table teams are now starting to cause a bit of trouble for Tottenham.
Yeah.
For Tottenham.
Chelsea.
I just live in my head rent free.
Yeah, I know.
For Chelsea.
There's only a 6-point gap between Chelsea and Arsenal now.
Yeah,
that was
see,
that
that's
was
major.
much bigger
Yeah.
before.
Yes. Yeah.
So major.
As I said, Brighton, who were towards, they were kind of 10th, 11th by the last recording. They're now in 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I said before Aston Villa were going to drop off, and they haven't been great. But Brighton have really picked up form, picked up a good win, I think, against Tottenham as well.
Yeah.
I want to say. But as I said, a good draw, and they were actually leading Chelsea up until the second half at least. But do you think Chelsea just have too much to play for? Of course, since then they've got Champions League that they've turned it around against City. I know the cup's over now, but they also had the Subway Cup to think about, plus the league they're trying to fight off. Do you not think it's a bit too much for them at this moment, or they've kind of got a bit too many priorities?
I do reckon they're probably in a position where they found themselves wanting to literally win it all. Obviously we want to win it all, but I think they literally thought we could win it all.
Yeah.
And maybe didn't. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but didn't particularly prioritize one thing. Let's make sure we at least win the WSL, seeing as there's a big point gap.
Well, it looks like Arsenal focused on the Champions League because that kind of
'Cause we thought
looks
the
more.
WSL was
Yeah.
gone.
But
Yeah.
however, now looking back at it,
Who
2
knows?
games
Still,
can
exactly.
change
Well,
completely.
Exactly, and it's like Chelsea had 8 games in March. That's a lot of football.
A lot of up and down.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
be playing
played
week
City
in,
4
week out.
times.
Yeah, exactly.
That's ridiculous.
I
Sorry, that's
half
happened
of-
since we
half of
last
those-
recorded.
Half of those games have been against
Yeah.
one team. That is crazy.
And the thing is, the results have been really spread out. We've had City winning, Chelsea winning.
Yeah.
It's been interesting, but that's all happened since the last
Since
game
the-
week.
since the last
And
time.
what I think's funny is we were, we spoke a lot about Arsenal last week, and I do want to kind of skip over them to a certain extent. However, we said that we're hoping we can have a couple more quiet games. The next game was a 4-3 against West
Yeah.
Ham.
It's crazy.
What's
So many
going
goals.
on?
Haven't we gotten the record for most goals at home this season?
I think
Or a minimum of 4 goals every time at home.
I
especially
think
at the Emirates.
I think the Emirates has been a minimum of 4 goals
Yeah.
each
Wow.
game,
It's insane.
That
and that's
is
goals
mental.
scored. That's not
So-
even goals
So many
conceded.
even in general, just forget Arsenal, but so many goals in general in the WSL.
Well, yeah, if you look at the goal differences, 36 for Chelsea and Arsenal.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's plus 36. Then you look at Crystal Palace at minus 32.
yeah, it's
They're
crazy,
shipping
innit?
loads, but likes of Arsenal, Chelsea are scoring loads as well.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's even like City, they got 40 goals despite being sat in 4th. That's a massive amount of
That's
goals
crazy,
scored as
yeah.
well, I mean, more
This
than
is
2
just
goals
a
a
credit
game.
to the attack as well, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
A big credit to the attack. in the
Unbelievable.
WSL. A lot of talent up front.
Yeah, well, Chelsea did kind of bounce back with that with a 3-1 win against Leicester, which was expected. However, West Ham drawing 1-1 with Man City, it's poor from City. City would have wanted to win that game. I think the fact is, if Chelsea start dropping points, you're looking at the likes of, you would have been looking at the likes of Man City and Man United to kind of push up to challenge with them. It has been Arsenal. because the other two have also just dropped off.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on, but
I think it's now just a case of like those mid-table teams just pushing a bit more.
yeah,
Like, especially looking at West Ham, like even to the background stuff, when I'm seeing like stuff on like social media, like LinkedIn and everything, like
Yeah.
how they're just pushing so much for this club.
Mm.
It's interesting, like, and maybe pushing from the back, and obviously the background stuff can obviously help with what's happening on the pitch
Yeah.
currently, and it's showing because like to get a draw against like big teams like Chelsea is really massive for a team like West Ham, especially the way they've done it. So I think it's just like a credit to those mid-table clubs.
No, 100%.
Just that- yeah.
Yeah, it just makes the league more competitive as well.
Yeah,
Like you want to see
yeah.
these mid-table teams being able to compete in certain matches with the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, City, and United, because there is like that four, isn't there? And then there's a little bit of a gap in quality, but it's great to see that gap is slowly closing over certain
seems like it.
games at times. So
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a positive.
I think you look at the stats of this game, the West Ham City game. City has 65% possession, 17 shots, and still managed to draw 1-1. And, Shaw scored in the 80th minute, and then West Ham scored in the 91st.
Wow.
That's the second time they've done that then.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the third, that'll be the first,
yeah,
I think.
I think
Perseverance,
the
clearly.
thing with that is that, West Ham have gone to Arsenal, lost 4-3, and then come out and played an incredible game against City, picking up a major point, which, as you said before, they're pushing into the mid-table, they're 7th, but that's still a great result for them, because I think we always mention it here, but there is always I think it's quite a big gap between the top 4.
And the rest of the teams.
Exactly. Well, even, for example, looking at Crystal Palace, who are bottom, probably still going to get relegated, picked up a massive win against Aston Villa.
Yeah.
3-1 is, fairly convincing.
Yeah,
And
it's not a bad result at
yeah,
all.
and they were overall the better team. Didn't have they didn't have more possession, but it's a big result, and I think it kind of mirrors what you're saying in terms of we are seeing the rest of the team starting to push up a little bit, because last season it was kind of done already.
Yeah.
Whereas here you've actually got these teams fighting to a certain extent. There's going to be a couple of games where it ends 4-0, 5-0. But if you can, I think with mid-table, if you can pick up points against other mid-table teams, that's how you push up in the league,
Yeah.
I think that is massive, because especially with the talks of like the whole relegation stuff, that's happened between our last
I know,
our
yeah.
last podcast. Speaking of like scrapping relegation or something to
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really understand it, to be fair. I think that just loses the whole concept of a football league. Like
Yeah.
it completely loses it.
I don't want it to turn into like the MLS, where you have to like sort of you're in the league because you have to buy into the league
Yeah.
or something like that. Like relegation is so important. I think a relegation battle is so fun and exciting to watch,
Yeah.
especially if it goes down to the final day. Like
Yeah.
you've got all the fans there supporting the teams. It's either you're absolutely delighted because your team stayed up, or you're devastated because you've been
Yeah.
relegated.
Yeah.
Like that is the highs and well, I've got to quote it. That is the highs and lows of football, is it?
Well, exactly.
Yeah, but like,
No, but also, for example, now Crystal Palace are only 4 points off safety, because I think the thing for me is I've never really liked it being 1 down, 1 up, because
Yeah, good
it's
point,
such
to
a
be
big. I feel like if you're going to change it, do 2 down, 2 up, or you make that 11th place a playoff like they do in Europe, where you have a team who finishes second playing off against a team that finishes second bottom. I feel like that just allows you'll bring in more money because you'll get more games. It's going to be good competition.
Yeah.
You can kind of see how the quality differs. But I think, as I said, 2 up, 2 down makes more sense, only because you're not having one team. Let's say you have a newly formed team, does well, kind of plays well with Championship, for example. You come up into the WSL, you're fighting with the rest of the biggest clubs in the world, not even just in England. It's not like it's a league where they're not going to consistently be in the final of Champions League, You're against Chelsea, Arsenal, City, United, 4 of the biggest clubs in the world. How is a smaller club expected to, fight with that? It doesn't really make sense to me.
No.
That's a good point, to be fair. But I guess sometimes it's just always about business. It's always about like,
Yeah.
and they put that first over like sometimes what the fans actually want, and what's better for like the women's sport in general.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't think they're actually gonna go through with it. To be honest, I reckon they just like put it
Yeah.
out there, see how people would react.
Yeah.
It's not
And
been
then-
great, so
Yeah.
we're gonna get rid
Yeah,
of it.
The overall fan
So-
reaction hasn't been
Um,
what they probably would have expected. I can imagine. Them,
Yeah.
them putting that statement out.
well, in the last show, of course, we mentioned that Liverpool's manager had been sacked.
Yes.
They've now
Yes.
brought in
Amber Whiteley.
Amber Whiteley, that's it. And they've been doing well. Well, they had a period where they were doing well.
Yeah,
actually.
I
We'll
mean, it
talk
was a
about
great period. It was
Yeah.
absolutely-
Manager
it was
bounce.
great.
that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I
You know,
mean,
mentioned that.
picked up a 1-0 win away at Palace, 3-1 win at home against Man United,
yeah,
lost 4-0 to Arsenal, but that's kind of expected.
Yeah.
Then they lost to Aston Villa.
yeah.
But they had that point of, you know, the first two games, you're looking at it going, you know, they can actually really build off this.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, albeit like the Crystal Palace game, it is against Crystal Palace, but at the same time, we did create a lot of chances and played quite well, which we haven't seen on a consistent basis throughout this season. And then, of course, the away game against Arsenal in the FA Cup was more sort of
Yeah.
like a smash and grab sort of scenario, really,
Yeah.
but that was still unbelievable. And then to get our first win at Anfield against Manchester United, Olivia Smith with 2 goals, wow, like absolutely amazing. But yeah, then, you know, as you said, the 4-0 against Arsenal. It is Arsenal. It's expected at
Yeah.
times. Obviously, want it to be better than a 4-0 loss away
Of
from
course.
home. But, you know,
But you have a good record against Arsenal in general, though. Especially
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
Emirates, you have a good
I
record.
know, yeah, we won, didn't we?
Last year
season?
you
Yeah.
won
Was that
home and
last
away, I
season or
think.
2 seasons
Was it
ago?
2 seasons ago? It might have been 2
No,
seasons
it
ago.
was
Was it
last
last
season?
season because I went with Lucy and I wore the yellow kit, so it was last year.
Okay, yeah. God, I remember that. I was actually
Yeah.
working at the Emirates for that.
Oh, really?
That was
kinda like
painful.
watching-
Arsenal
I was
dominated
like,
that
oh,
game.
What on
Yeah.
earth is going on?
Yeah, Arsenal dominated. They got counter-attacked, and we were like, how has this
Yeah.
happened?
I,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
no,
was
I couldn't
crazy.
believe it when I was like, oh my gosh, we scored a goal. I was like, this is brilliant.
But no, that win against Man United is massive. I think not, you know, as I say, it's pushed you guys up to 6th now,
Yeah.
but also it's dropped Man United off in terms of, you know, Man United will be looking at that game going, okay, they've got a new manager, they've just you know, won one game, but this is the Man United's chance. And Man United have been in good form, and I think this is what I mean in terms of, you know, Chelsea haven't been great, but no one around them has really been that good, which kind of shows how far Arsenal are, because they haven't lost a game yet since then. It shows how far they were, given there's still now only a 6-point gap.
Yeah.
But this was opportunities for Man City, for Man United. Man City are now still on 35 points. I'm pretty sure they had 33 last time we spoke.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, yeah, we look at the form. I mean, they beat Brighton at the end of this month, but yeah, I mean, of
2
course
losses,
losing,
3 losses in
losing to Chelsea at home, then
Yeah.
drawing to West Ham as we've mentioned already away from home. Like, yeah, the form has been inconsistent. I remember after the Manchester United Liverpool game, a lot of people I was seeing like they wanted Mark Skinner out of the Manchester United fans. He's sort of been
Yeah,
teetering
a
on
lot
that
of-
age, hasn't he?
A lot of
like-
United fans, sorry, a lot of United fans.
Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, don't clip that. A lot of United fans aren't a fan of him at all.
No.
They haven't been for a while. I think I saw someone like saying how like they feel like he's holding the team back and whatnot. Like,
yeah.
isn't he? Oh, I could be so wrong here, but is he like the longest?
What?
I think he is. You
Serving
know.
manager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
as
you-
of right
Yeah,
now,
he,
I think
yeah.
you are right.
Lily
Yeah.
behind the camera is just
Okay.
nodding her head. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Yes, I think he's been there for a while, and I feel like maybe it's just a bit lackluster currently for the team.
I think we had the same thing with Agva, where we
yeah.
just looked at it and went, it's just been a long time. You kind of want a change because they've always kind of been up there. But the fact is, in terms of you can only really progress to a certain extent before you just want to change because you want to see something different.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the
It's-
case for them.
It's a difficult one, isn't it, though? Because if you're doing well at a club, you do kind of look at it and go, what's the point? What's the need to change? But then, of course, you know, you're always going to get fans who are like, we need something different. You know, like it's not going to be a situation where everybody loves everything at a club.
No.
There's always going to be questions around it. So should we move on to the if I get it up here, no, more to relegation battle, because as we
Yes.
spoke about a bit more before, Aston Villa have been pulled completely into that due to just poor results.
Yeah.
I don't
Really,
remember where they were before.
they were up. They were quite high, but you know, if we look at it here,
Who were the bottom two last time? last time we spoke.
It was Leicester and Palace.
That's it. Yeah.
But
okay,
the thing is, right, with Aston Villa, I just want to point out here. So 8th February, they had a win against Brighton, 3-2 at home.
Right.
They then lost every game up until 30th of March.
Yeah.
They lost 3-0 away to Leicester, 2-0 at home to Everton, 2-0 away at City, 3-1 away at Palace, and then 4-0 at home to United. That's what's dragged them into this relegation battle.
It's so poor. Like the Crystal Palace fans must not be liking Liverpool, because obviously we beat them and then we lost to Aston Villa at home. So we've not helped them out at all. In the past month.
And it hasn't been, to be honest, it hasn't been great with Palace either, only winning one since the same date.
Yeah.
But it shows you how close it was at the bottom, because there's now only a 4-point gap. And realistically, Palace could escape. You know, we all said before that they were. We all said before they were 100% down.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking at it, because when we did the predictions before, I said Aston Villa were going to drop into the bottom 2. Looking at it now, they could actually just get relegated.
Oh my gosh! If Palace escape relegation,
surely it's the best ever thing from WSL in recent years.
Especially they've been at like the very. Sorry, this sounds really shady, but you guys have like been at the very bottom since the start, no?
Yeah.
I don't think they've moved.
Crystal Palace, no, they've not really moved.
I think they might have moved once in the first 3 weeks,
Yeah.
but since then they've been rock bottom.
Wow, so if they do escape, if they escape, fair play.
Now they've got some must-win games like West Ham United and Leicester City.
Yeah.
They'll look at those 2 games
So
out
get a
of the
couple
4.
points from
They'll be like, we need to win these games if we
for
are going to
sure.
stay up.
The thing is that their next game is away at Chelsea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's a rough
the
one.
final day of the season.
But hey, you never know. You literally
Yeah.
never know.
No,
I mean,
that's the thing, isn't
yeah,
it?
I mean,
but-
we think we know, but at the same
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
I don't think we know.
I mean,
Well,
if I was a
Chelsea
Chelsea
haven't
fan,
been great,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
anything can
mean-
happen. I mean, this is the thing, right? They're running. They've got Chelsea away, then they've got West Ham at home, Leicester at home, and then City away.
Yeah.
Realistically, they're probably going to lose to Chelsea. They could pick up a win against West Ham and Leicester. It's possible. But then if we look at Villa's run-in, let's just see what Villa have next. So Villa have Tottenham, and then I can't find it now.
Ooh, I think I got it here. Was it
Yeah.
Arsenal, but I think the game's been postponed.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
it,
postponed, and then West Ham United away and Brighton at home. That's a more difficult. You could
Yeah.
argue that's a more difficult running in terms of actually going ahead and picking up points.
I think they pick up less points. The question is, can Palace pick up 4 out of those last 4 games? I don't see it.
Yeah, and I mean, even if they do pick up 4 and then Villa pick up none, the goal difference gap's 13.
Well, it's 32 to
You know,
19.
So,
So
they've pretty much got to win 2 games to stay up out their final 4.
yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
hopefully they'll be able to do it. I mean, what a story that would be.
Yeah.
That'd be
That'd
incredible,
so,
wouldn't it?
so
That's
good.
gonna be
I mean,
incredible.
I'd love to see it. So, despite Liverpool winning against Crystal Palace and then losing against Aston Villa, as a Liverpool fan, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting.
Well, if we look at Chelsea's running, so they've got Liverpool next,
Yeah.
in the FA Cup.
Mhm.
Then they've got Barcelona away, then Palace at home. So before that Palace game, I don't think Palace have another game until then. Chelsea have to go and play Liverpool and Barcelona away from home is going to be tough.
Very tough.
They've then got to play. They've still got to play United, and they've got Barcelona again. They've got Tottenham, and then last game of the season is against Liverpool. Their running is really difficult,
Yeah.
especially with the FA Cup on top of that and the Champions League. And then you look at Arsenal's run. Of course, they've still got the Champions League, but Leicester at home, Villa away, Brighton away, United at home. It's a much easier running. They could genuinely make up the points. Like it's a genuine possibility just because of the fact that
Wait, who
it's
did you say Arsenal's next games were?
Arsenal have Leicester next.
Okay.
Then they've got Lyon Champions
Yeah,
League.
yeah.
Then they've got they've still got the Villa games postponed, but then they'll have Lyon again. Then they'll have Brighton and Man United. I think Man United will be difficult. I think Brighton they could probably win. Leicester I think they'll win.
Yeah.
But I think once again it's an easier run in than Chelsea, especially having Barcelona away first.
Yeah.
And they've also got the FA Cup game in there. Fatigue's going to be running through that squad. But if any team could do it, it's probably still Chelsea, isn't it, realistically?
Yeah.
If any team can get through that run, it is Chelsea.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like a thing of if let's say hypothetically, if Arsenal were to go and overtake Chelsea and end up winning the WSL,
Yeah.
would that be just an extremely successful year for Arsenal, or just a bit of a really bad year for Chelsea then?
Oh, yeah.
It would be
Because,
bad for Chelsea because Chelsea would have thrown that away.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the
I
thing.
guess
To be
it's
six,
thrown
to be
like-
6 points clear with 4
Yeah.
games to go and to not win it,
Yeah.
that would be really, really poor.
It'd be worse on their half.
Yeah.
It'd be better on ours.
Absolutely.
But I think
Yeah.
it's still like if that was to happen for Arsenal, absolutely sensational. You know, to be
Yeah.
able to beat this Chelsea side, which are as just competing on all 4
Yeah.
fronts, which
Yeah.
is mental.
Exactly.
You know, but yeah,
Was-
it is possible, but it just depends whether. Are they going to drop points in multiple games? Do you reckon? Is that
don't know,
something
but
that's
I
going to
think-
happen? I think
You- you'd
it's tough
say-
to answer.
You'd say arguably Lyon would be easier than Barcelona in the Champions League.
Yeah.
However, it's still something that Arsenal have to think about. But I think, but I don't. If we look at the Champions League, I don't see Chelsea getting past Barcelona. I think, personally, I see
Right.
Barcelona winning that game,
Yeah.
which will
Fair
mean
enough.
that Chelsea will throw all their eggs into. For me, I think they'll throw it all into WSL.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't see why they don't. The FA
course.
Cup's there. You know, they're expected to get past Liverpool.
yes.
But
yeah, you would
as I
expect
said,
them to.
I don't think they're not expected to get past Barcelona realistically. I think they'll look to at least finish out WSL winning every game.
Yeah,
But it's difficult because there's a lot for them to
yeah.
think about.
Yeah, it's just like who knows? I mean, it's even you look at the Arsenal men's beating Real Madrid 3-0. I mean, who saw that coming?
Yeah.
Like anything
That was
can
incredible.
anything can happen. So
I mean, it's quite amazing, isn't it? How the women's brought it back 3-0.
yeah,
And the
Yeah.
men's won 3-0.
and both are
And
Arsenal.
both like England superstars.
Yeah, Arsenal dominating Real Madrid. I
Yeah.
mean, wow.
It's crazy.
What a time!
who could have
What
believed
time
it?
what time for tennis fans, eh? That's
Literally.
so cool. I can't
Literally.
lie.
Genuinely was that FA Cup game, sorry, that Champions League game as well. The Women's Champions
Yeah.
League. Honestly, even the men's and women's both could have ended more than just
Yeah.
3-0.
For sure.
Both games could have ended 5 or 6. Honestly, if you look at the chance that they've had.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I actually couldn't watch that game. I couldn't watch it.
Oh no.
Obviously, no, not because like,
Oh,
I was
right.
busy with it,
You
but
were
I
just
physically,
stressed.
I
You were
was
just
couldn't
so
watch it.
stressed
Yeah,
out,
I just
yeah.
couldn't watch it. I don't know what I saw. I just like checked on my Instagram and I saw something like how we're like ahead at the last few minutes. And I was thinking, oh, just stop looking, just stop looking.
Yeah.
But
That
there
was me
just
the other
so
day, though.
much, There's just so much built on that game, and it's like, you know, especially how that game was in Real Madrid, like the conditions and all that. like, how
That
we-
was shocking.
awful.
I wanted us to come back to the Emirates and just like prove them right type of thing. So I just had so much anxiety, I just couldn't watch it. I just couldn't watch it. And then I just see like the celebrations at the end of it, and then like all the fans there. It was really nice to see.
What I
Yeah.
do want to pick up on that what you've just spoken about is the conditions were
Yeah.
shocking
Oh,
in
they
that.
were awful.
That is
Terrible.
that's one of the worst professional pitches I've ever seen.
Especially for like a top Spanish team, like
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the biggest teams in women's football, in European football. And then like you've got a pitch like that. I'm pretty sure Sunday League pitches are probably
yeah.
better
Yeah, I played on
conditions.
better pitches than
Exactly.
that. I was like looking at it, thinking, "What on earth is this quality?"
It's terrible.
Like it was,
It's
Especially in a
awful.
Champions League
Exactly.
quarter final.
Yes,
You're telling me they
exactly.
couldn't have gotten a better
No,
pitch.
exactly.
You come to Emirates, which is pristine, but
Mm-hmm.
then you look at the away tie and it's like,
Oh.
what? It is absolutely shocking.
Even if it
awful.
wasn't at the Emirates, even if it was at Meadow Park,
It's still
the
better
condition
quality.
will
Yeah,
still be
Meadow
better.
Park's
Yeah.
Meadow Park's great.
Like, it's a
pitch.
great pitch.
I think
Yeah.
Meadow Park is still smaller than the Real Madrid stadium they were playing in,
Okay.
and yet the pitch would still be better.
Yeah, yeah.
Something needs to change there because you can't expect. Look, if you want women's football to play at the highest quality, you need to give them the highest
highest quality.
available quality
Yeah,
to play on.
Exactly.
How are you expecting them to play at an amazing quality if you're giving them not, a pitch that's genuinely Sunday League, is not even that good? Like National League, even like looking at Women's National League, lower leagues in women's football are better than that. I think something needs to change, and I think something needs to look at that and go, this can't run.
That can't happen again. To
No.
be honest,
Yeah.
especially at like such a big occasion. Something like that can't happen
Yeah.
again.
No.
But also that determines games
Yeah.
because, as I said, Real Madrid. I've watched Real Madrid games. They don't play on that pitch normally. Neither team was expecting to play in those conditions, and I think there was a couple of chances where Arsenal could have conceded a third. Conceding a third in that game completely changes the rest of the tie. I think it's one of those things where you're looking at it going, what, like, I don't know how it's even gotten to them even allowing the game to be played there.
Yeah.
It was just so disappointing.
Yeah.
Like, looking at it, I was thinking, this is just not acceptable. And then even, like, the Subway Cup pitch, wasn't it? At Pride Park, that wasn't great either. And it's just, you know, give the women what they deserve the best pitches, just give them the best conditions. I mean, what's so difficult about that?
You're saying this is elite women's football. Give them the infrastructure for it to continue at that level.
Exactly.
That's how it's going to be better.
And then what I love about it as well is you've got like advocates like Ian Wright, who I think is arguably probably the biggest advocate when it comes to women's football.
Yeah.
He just like started recording and was like so like speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
Like there was
You
no
could tell
training.
he properly cared.
Yeah, there was no PR training with that, and that's what you want. Like he just literally said how it is. Like it's ridiculous how you've got such elite players, such high quality players, and you're giving them something like that to play on.
Yeah.
In that sort of occasion, it's just so poor, and that's what I'm saying.
My point is
they can't let it happen again because people will keep speaking up about it.
Yeah, my point is not trying to compare it, but that doesn't happen in the men's game.
Definitely
Even at smaller clubs, let's say you go to Astana that don't have the biggest pitch. If the pitch is that quality, they move the game or move the pitch. Why have you not done it for women's football? Because it's a quarter final. You're telling me that if Real Madrid had got through, the semi-final would have been on the same pitch.
Yeah. I see.
Come on. You're not telling me a Champions League semi-final is going to be... That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But as you mentioned, the... was it Subway Cup?
Subway Cup.
Yeah. You mentioned it. We might as well talk about it because it's one of the 4 games that Chelsea and City played against each other. Good win for Chelsea, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually able to watch the game, but I
think
saw...
there was an own goal.
Yeah.
On one of the City defenders.
77th minute.
Yeah, I remember seeing that clip.
Yeah, I didn't actually
is
watch
heartbreaking,
it,
to be
but
honest.
it must be bad to lose it on a own goal.
Yeah, especially the way they lost as well.
Yeah. Well, especially because then literally a few days later they threw away the Champions League on top of that, which, you know...
Tough time to be a Manchester City fan.
Yeah, literally. I mean,
Not
they've
great.
had a tough few periods, I think, this season, where there's stuff on and then off the pitch as well. So maybe they need like a little simmer down.
Yeah, a little reset.
Yeah,
Go
reset,
again next
that's it.
season.
Yeah.
Try and get back to where they need to be because they're 7 points off, isn't it now?
Yeah.
Manchester United and Arsenal. Most likely they're not going to be back in the Champions League next season. It doesn't really seem very likely at this point. So have to wait and see what happens. Another goal for Myra Ramirez though.
That's what I was going to say.
You know,
she was brilliant in that game. I think she's incredible.
Yeah,
so good.
She's
think-
so technically gifted as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people thought that, you know, and Sam Kerr's been out with everything that's happened around her, but I think a lot of people thought that, you know, Chelsea have a bit of an issue with striker, but she's stepped up and been... She's been incredible, really. She's been great.
No problems at all. Like I went to watch the Champions League game at Stamford Bridge, and she was brilliant. Like the hold up play, just like you know, just overall such a good striker. And yeah, she's been great since she's joined Chelsea. Definitely filled the hole that Sam Kerr's left. Obviously, Sam Kerr is an elite level striker as well, but to have someone like Myra Ramirez in the squad,
Definitely been missing her at all, really.
It's been a massive help.
I think someone else who stepped up for me is Sandy Baltimore. I think she's just been absolutely incredible. She was brilliant in that game against Man City. I know in the 3-0, I think she got a goal and assist in that game. Absolutely incredible player.
Yeah. The goal.
I think,
she scored was so good.
He's so good.
I was directly behind the goal, and I was like, what a finish that is. I was like, fair enough.
She's one of those players on the Chelsea team that I feel like is just constantly consistent.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, but maybe
she doesn't get as much praise as I think she should. She's a bit underrated because, you know, Lauren James gets a lot of praise. Sam Kerr gets a lot of praise when she plays. I feel like Baltimore, because she plays as a left back,
defenders never really get
exactly.
much.
It's almost one of those things where it's looked at as, you know, you do less work, but defensively she's incredible, and her pace is frightening. Like her pace, delivery, and then finish as well is incredible. Because I remember being at the Emirates when Chelsea won 2-1 there. She's by far the best player on the pitch. Like, no doubt about it. And I think, as you mentioned as well, like, you know, being a defender, you're gonna get less credit because you're not seen to be involved in goals. Yeah. But she's almost a left midfielder in terms of her defensive work is so good, but she's so good going forward that she just adds another attacker. And of course, you know, Chelsea defense is strong as it is. They don't miss her in defense. But what she brings to the attack is incredible.
Oh yeah, just going forward, like in that Manchester City game, she's just up and down the whole time, like causing City so many problems. Because in that game, in that first half in the Champions League, they absolutely dominate City, all over them. It was like, obviously City being 2-0 up, I expected Chelsea to be on the front foot, but they came out the blocks flying in that game. It was unreal to watch, and she was so good at left back. Definitely one of the best players on the pitch.
Yeah. Want to move on to Tottenham, because they have struggled recently. Haven't won in their last, I want to say six or seven. I think 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, haven't won in their last 7. Last game they drew 1-1 away at Leicester, which once again is a team that probably should be beating.
Yeah.
But then hadn't won in 6 before that, which includes a 5-0 loss at the Emirates. 2-1 loss at home to City, 2-1 loss, 1-0 loss at home to Brighton, and then 2-0 away at West Ham. Drops them now down. They've dropped down to 9th, which they were pushing for 4th or 5th recently, and they've now suddenly dropped completely. I don't know how it's happened, but I don't know what to say.
I don't know. I think not that. I think there's just a whole culture issue there. I think like a lot of there must be issues off the pitch. Like I just feel like they're not. I mean, who am I to say? Because I ain't got a clue what's going on at the club. But I feel like there's just no like real. I don't know where I'm going with this, but like team.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying.
You see them playing. It's like it's given a lot of like individuality, or like you just can't really see who can possibly like.
There's no standout or anything.
Together,
Get them out of trouble.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
a sort
know.
of game changer. Like
there's a lot of like lackluster when they play. I feel like
I found it with the Emirates with Jessica Naz.
Yes,
For me, clearly by far the best Tottenham player on the pitch, and the run she's making is perfect. But I think what you're saying, I agree with you. There's no one to find her. Nobody to look at that and actually pick out the pass, find her. I think Beth England's been missing recently. I think she's missed the last couple of games. Which of course, the form she was in before was great, but she's a big miss to Tottenham. Hasn't played in any of the last 2 games, I want to say. Hasn't played any of the last 4 games, which you can see that because they haven't scored.
Well, this is the thing. I'm looking at the last starting 11. Combined, all the players on the pitch got 7 WSL goals between the 10 outfield players. Like,
that's ridiculous.
No wonder they're not scoring any goals. Like, she, as you said, massive miss. But Beth England's got more goals than the entirety of that team, which is insane.
That is ridiculous.
I
think the last game she actually played, she started against Man City, so that would have been 4 games ago. Yeah. So massive loss.
Yeah, as if she's gone. It's like they haven't found
a replacement.
Nobody's really stepped up in her place and gone, you know what, I'm going to take the reins and try and get a few goals and help my team get some victories. It's just not happened.
A lot of teams have multiple people who can score goals.
Yeah.
Baltimore, for example. So we've got defenders who can score goals. Arsenal have a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it's like with Tottenham, as if maybe Bethany England was just pretty much
the only one.
Yeah.
And then Naz can't step up because as a winger, it's harder. You need the ball to be played to. She's not a striker. So it's not like someone will have a shot and you can be there. You kind of have to create it yourself. And of course, you can't exactly create and score every game. It's not exactly going to happen.
No.
But it's really pushed Tottenham into a bit of a problem, and I've seen quite a few people speaking about getting rid of their manager. Who is it? I'm not actually sure who it is.
Robert, is it Robert Villaharm?
Yeah, Robert Villaharm. I've seen a lot of people saying that he probably needs to go now. I think.
Yeah.
After not winning in 6, it's poor, isn't it? It's not good.
I mean,
really
against teams you probably should be beating at least a couple of them.
Exactly, and like, what was it? They got 31 points last season. They're not going to be able to match that now, even if they win all their 4 games.
Not even possible, is it? No.
So, and just looking at it, you want your team to be on an upward trajectory, and they've just gone the complete opposite way. It's like Liverpool under Matt Beard. We were on, I think we finished on a very decent amount of points last year, 41, and then obviously we're going to get nowhere near that this season, which is why he's ended up.
I think the whole points tally for a lot of clubs has dropped severely this season.
Yeah,
like a lot of them have been, a lot of clubs haven't been good as they were last year.
No.
Anyway, I don't know,
Just
Sina, do you have
looking at
anything on that?
Tottenham's next 4 games.
Yeah.
It's Aston Villa, Aston Villa at home, Liverpool away, Chelsea at home, and Everton away. And it's like
I don't see them really winning a game there.
I don't see it.
I think the only thing, possibly Villa, because they've been in worse. They've probably been in the worst form.
Purely, that's just
But-
because obviously their position currently, isn't it? But
It's
then
just
I
who's
still-
worse at the
Yeah.
day.
I
Like,
I still think Villa will give them a good run for their money, especially seeing how they've come from like no wins in the last
Yeah.
how many games.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
And the thing is, for like Tottenham, they know that they're safe. Of
Yeah.
course, they're not going to be in that relegation battle. As for Aston Villa, being 4
Exactly.
points,
something to fight.
yeah, they've got something to fight for. As for Tottenham, it's just like, oh well, if we win, maybe we go up one position in the table or get closer. Like,
yeah,
there's no real.
they got nothing.
jeopardy
They're in nothing
Yeah.
else anyway, so they've got not really anything to fight on.
Yeah, so Aston Villa, they could, who knows, turn up and surprise
Well,
a few
yeah.
people.
Honestly, speaking of strikers, I wanted to pick up on someone who's been just an incredible
Oh my
season.
gosh.
Alessia Russo,
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
absolutely.
I've got another striker to point out after we speak about her.
But yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I think she's been absolutely incredible,
Yeah.
and
Unbelievable.
the success for Arsenal this season, especially, I think that Real Madrid game kind of hit me. How good she was.
Mm-hmm.
How, what's the word? She's so
Clinical.
tenacious. You know, she's
Yeah.
always trying to get into it, and then of course the clinicality is incredible. I think she's one of the big reasons why Arsenal are where they are in the league.
Yeah.
18 games, 11 goals.
Yeah.
Average of 7.8 rating. It's incredible. That's ridiculous.
I
Yeah.
feel like since we've signed her, has it been like is this her 3rd season now?
I want to say second.
Second,
Is it
sure,
second?
nah.
Is it?
What?
Is it?
I feel like we've had her for a while.
No, I know.
It
It's
feels like
ages.
she's been there
Yeah,
forever,
no, it's
right?
been 2
Yeah.
seasons.
She joined in
This is her
23-24.
second
This is
season.
her second season.
but it
Oh
feels
my
like
gosh.
so
Yeah.
Feels like it's
long.
been a
You know.
while.
So last season she got 32 games, 17 goals, 4 assists. This season 35, 18, 4
Yeah.
I mean,
This
across all
season,
competitions.
I mean, clearly she's done very well, obviously, in her 1st season. But for some reason, this season, we've really like seen her shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've really seen her true quality and like how important she is for the team. And I guess it's a testimony to the other players too, to be able to help
Yeah.
feed her those balls.
I think
and
she
then,
works really well
Yeah.
with Mariana
Yeah.
Calente, who's also been incredible
Oh, she's
in
been so good.
her first
Yeah.
season. But I think
Yeah.
those two together, alongside Manu in midfield, all those three have been kind of the key for Arsenal in terms of, the quality that they've put in. Who do you want to speak about? Because I'm interested.
I wanted to speak about the younger generation in terms of strikers. Michelle Adjemang.
Oh,
Abs-
what
yeah.
a goal!
Absolutely incredible.
That was unreal.
Like when she signed her professional contract with Arsenal, that was during the period where like they were signing a lot of the young players, like Vivian Leah as well. Shout out to her. But like, then she went out on loan, especially with the other like youngsters who were just signed for the club.
Yeah.
And then we thought, okay, we just signed them, but we've just thrown them out. Maybe just get a bit
Yeah.
more experience. And then I think Alessia has obviously picked up an injury or something like that. Is that why she has to leave the England?
Yes.
I believe
yes.
so.
Yeah,
yeah.
something like that. And Michelle's obviously just been brought up to the senior squad after doing really well, obviously in the younger squads. And to score like that on your debut,
Absolutely
touch and finish.
incredible goal.
like it's insane. The talent, and that just shows like her next steps now, because she could possibly like come back to Arsenal within the next season or
Yeah.
two. And then if she's already showing qualities like that, then hey, let's put 2 up front at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Let's
no,
put her and
honestly.
Alessia up front.
Well, having Mead out
And
wide
so it
alongside
goes.
that is
Yeah,
incredible.
exactly.
It's
You
a
know.
very scary prospect for other teams to
That's
have
what
to
I'm
face.
saying.
You
Well,
know.
as we mentioned before, we were speaking about that stat of her and Skelly, who both scored in their debuts,
Yes,
both wearing the
yes,
same number, both
exactly.
were playing literally about end of last year, playing in the under 21s. It's good for England, and I think this is massive because last episode we spent a long time talking about lack of representation, and this is what we want. When you're seeing these kind of players of black ethnic minority in the under 21s doing so well, give them a chance in the first team. Look at the chance she's
there.
taken.
Yeah,
It's
no,
been
for
incredible.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure, the talent is definitely there, and like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
and the
just-
finish was incredible as well.
such a
It's a
good goal.
beautiful
Such
finish.
a good goal.
And what it was, that was the same day, Arsenal Real Madrid.
Yes.
Yeah.
where
Yes.
like Declan Rice obviously like scored them amazing free
Yeah.
kicks.
I just
So
couldn't
then
believe
like after on my timeline, I'm seeing that goal, and I'm like, hold on, what a day for football this
Well,
is.
yeah, this is the
Like,
thing. I was watching the Arsenal game. I forgot England when we were
yeah,
playing.
Yeah.
And no, I didn't forget, but I didn't really keep up with it because I was
Yeah.
watching the game. And it's only afterwards I looked at it and was like, because I saw that Russo wasn't going to be in the squad, but I didn't know who'd been called up. So I looked at it and was like, I don't recognize this name as much as I thought I would. Looked at it and was like, what a goal!
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Insane.
It was the
Insane,
third touch is that finish is incredible.
Oh, so good to see, like debut
Touch and finish.
goals
Oh my
for like
gosh.
national team or just your senior
It's
club
so
that like you
good.
come through the academy of or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's what football is all about.
Yeah.
Like seeing stuff like that, and yeah, what a moment! And it's such a good goal as well. It wasn't like a tap in from 2
I'm
yards
saying,
out,
like-
you know.
A half volley
And
from like
she's
the edge of the
always-
area. It's crazy.
She's always scoring good goals. Like the last clip I saw of her, I think it was the under 21s, of like, I think she scored 2 goals in their game. I couldn't tell who it was against,
Yeah.
but she's just always scoring good
I
goals.
think it was
and it's
Portugal.
like- it could have been.
I think it was.
It could have been. I don't remember, but if for some reason every time I see her on my timeline, it's just always a great goal. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
But
like-
what a way to get your first England cap
Yeah.
debut.
And she's an Arsenal girl as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not even
Yeah.
about. For me, it's not even the goal. It's like the confidence to take that shot on.
Yeah, to do something like
You know what I mean? The control and the finish. And you know, you see a lot of players now, like adult players, will try and take a touch, take another touch, go past the defender, have a shot.
Just do the basics.
Exactly.
She's a striker.
You know,
Touch and shoot.
finish.
Exactly.
No, and the thing is as well, it's like the youngsters coming through when you give them opportunities. A lot of them are fearless. They just
Yeah.
they don't think about the name or the opposition that they're coming up against. They'll just give it their absolute
Absolutely.
all, and give 110% on the pitch, and that's just what you want to see.
They've got something to prove. And I think sometimes you look at players in national teams, and when they get a bit too confident.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm gonna take the men's for example because I can think off the top of my head. Foden, I
Yeah.
think he's too confident. He knows he's gonna get called up. You know, then you get someone like Miles coming in, first ever call up.
Yeah.
He's got an impression to make.
Yes.
Made it. Same here. You know, you get given that chance. You've got the best striker in the country who's out injured. You're given the chance to take it.
Yep.
Why don't you? Because this is what you know. It's incredible, isn't
It's
it?
nice.
Like,
It's genuinely like
yeah.
heartwarming.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
So
good.
heartwarming. So heartwarming.
I want to pick on one more player as well, actually, who has come back to Arsenal, Chloe Kelly. I think she's been really good going back to
Yes.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Chloe Kelly.
Because I think I'm trying to think. The last time we
Unbelievable.
did this, it wasn't even the. No, it was. Was it? It was
That's
the
what I was
end
trying
of
to
the.
think. Did she sign up for us at that point? Was she with us?
I'm-
Because I don't think.
Yes, she was because she made her debut in the
It-
Tottenham game,
was
and
it-
we just come
Oh,
back
yeah.
after the Tottenham
was it,
game.
Yeah, was it the
Yeah.
one? Yeah, was it the one before that? Like we recorded it, and then
The next day.
the next day she got announced.
Yeah.
and we were like in the group chat. Oh, why did we record
Yeah.
it the day before
Literally
she got announced?
2 episodes
yeah.
ago, we recorded it and we're like, she's probably going to go to Man United, and then suddenly next day, sign for Arsenal.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But she's been brilliant when
Oh, she's
coming back.
superb,
She's
isn't
been
she?
great,
Yeah.
and I
Her
think
impact. Like she's been
Yeah.
making on and off the pitch, especially like with the whole Ballers League thing going on as well.
Yes.
She's,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Gaffer with Ian Wright is like.
imagine that though. Like imagine for her, someone's come through Arsenal,
Mhm.
standing in Bundesliga League alongside Ian Wright, like
Yeah.
Arsenal legend.
Especially the recent journey she's had. I mean,
Exactly.
like to go from like a bit of a dark place in the sport and then to now just be flourishing and just
Oh,
be,
yeah.
just be so like.
I want to see her
excited
try and
about
make this move permanent because I think she'd be
100%.
brilliant.
I reckon they would. I reckon like I don't see
yeah.
why they wouldn't.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't see why she doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that she'll end up being an Arsenal player in the summer. I reckon. I think there's a
Yeah.
there's a pretty
Yeah.
there's a relatively good chance of that happening. Just like Arsenal, of course, you know, being. It's just that it's more of an attractive prospect as well as of right now. Being in second place, of course, in the semi-finals for the Champions League as well, as you said, 6 points off the top.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
But
Why wouldn't
also,
you try
I
and make
think-
this move happen.
I think the thing is as well, right? So we look at the WSL, 5 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. But if you look at the Champions League, the comeback against Real Madrid was down to her. She got 2 assists in that game,
Yeah.
and they were 2 incredible assists. And you know, I think she's feeling at home. I think that's what it is. It looks like she's enjoying football.
And we've welcomed her.
Exactly.
Like-
look at the standing ovation
Yeah,
she got when she
like-
came back.
there's no way you just don't perform in an environment where you're not loved, because that's
Yeah.
where you get the best players, where like you can see they're enjoying the football.
So you
Yeah.
look at
because of the
like when
environment as
Saka
well.
came back from injury.
Yeah,
Oh my-
exactly.
Look at what he got and scored 7 minutes.
There you go.
So, yeah,
That's
that was mental.
Yeah.
When I was
Yeah.
seeing like all the
Crazy.
videos, it was like he was getting. Was it the,
They got more
the
applause
Messi
than the
sort
goal.
of comparison?
Yeah.
when, like he was coming off the bench for Barcelona years ago.
They got
It was
more.
mental.
I think it was more applause for him than the actual goal that was
Oh,
scored.
Wow.
yeah.
And then he scored as well.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the thing when you as any player, when you come to a club where you've come through, and you know that the fans love you, because of course for her leaving Arsenal must have been difficult in general because the connection she has. Coming back, getting the standing ovation you get, and then putting in the performances you're putting in, absolutely incredible.
I guess that just shows like it's just. I mean, I'm gonna big us up, us Arsenal fans. Like
Right. Yeah.
we are a very strong fan base, whether it's the men's and or the women's.
For sure.
So I think it just shows, like, especially games at the Emirates, like the atmosphere is incredible. So I guess it just shows, like, when we're doing well and we're supporting our club and our team, sorry, should I say, then our players perform. And
Yeah.
I think, like, other clubs and other fan bases across the world, whatever, should definitely take a
No,
look
for
at
sure.
that and think,
Yeah.
look at the.
Well,
the
it's so
positive
nice
impact.
seeing this in comparison to last episode when we were talking about where we're seeing players
Yeah,
abusing, or we're seeing
exactly.
fans abusing
Yeah.
their own players. This is so much better in terms of we're seeing the connection between fans and players.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I do just want to go through the league table and stuff. So Chelsea in first on 48, Arsenal second in 42, Man United on 42 as well in third. Down by the relegation, you've got Crystal Palace in 9th, Villa on 13, Leicester probably escaped on 16, but could always be dragged back into that.
Yeah.
Just want to hear you guys' takes on what do you think the league's going to be saying.
Well, I mean, I don't know when we're next meeting up. That's the
You've got 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks we're back.
You know what? In 2 weeks, I don't think much will change within
No.
2 weeks.
6-point gap could be closed. That's the
It
thing.
could definitely be closed, but in terms of like Arsenal coming first, I don't think it'll be that like.
No,
major.
I don't think it's that level.
Do you know
To
what
be
I mean?
fair, the next Arsenal game that's played is on the 15th. So
Right. Okay.
I think they might have only played one game in
game.
the league by the time we come
Okay.
back because of the Champions League and stuff.
Okay.
I do still think Crystal Palace will be at the bottom. I
Yeah.
reckon if Tottenham keep going the way they are now, they could swap places with Leicester.
Wow.
Ooh, I hear it though.
I mean, there's only 2 points
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
between them realistically, and they're playing each other. I think
Yes.
that's what I remembered. Yeah,
They've no, they just drew with each other.
Oh,
But
okay.
Tottenham have Aston Villa next, which,
That's
as
it,
we
Aston
said,
Villa.
Yeah.
Villa have a
Yeah.
lot to fight for.
Exactly. So, depending on how things go with that, I think that game will be very crucial with where Tottenham will go with it. It's like up
Yeah.
or just
Yeah.
down or just stay where they are. But I think if anything, the bottom table will change more than the top of the table. I don't know. I kind of feel obviously in terms of like the gaps in points between top two, I think that will close a bit. Hopefully, because I think Chelsea will drop points at some point. But I feel like it's a bit more interesting at the bottom currently than
Yeah.
it is at the top.
I agree.
Yeah. No, I mean we've got Liverpool have got Brighton on the 19th. Obviously Liverpool are only 1 point behind Brighton,
That's
so
Good game.
we win
yeah.
that game, move up into the top 5, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely not getting anywhere near the top 4. So it's fifth or nothing really. So hopefully get back to winning ways, please. That would be good.
I'm gonna go out on a whim and say I think Crystal Palace jump over Villa.
You
The
think?
way, yeah, it's nothing against Villa because I know I've been down on them since we've started this. I said they're gonna get dragged into relegation battle.
Number 1 Villa.
However, they've got some tough games coming up, as we mentioned before. We spoke about them. We haven't really spoken about the games Palace have, but they've got Leicester, West Ham. I think they could pick up points there. I feel like that gap will go down to about 1 point.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not going to say that Villa will be bottom, but I think that it will probably go to 1 point. And then I do think that Arsenal probably close to maybe 3 points on Chelsea, because Chelsea's next game is Liverpool
Yeah.
and Arsenal's next game is Leicester. I think Liverpool hold Chelsea to a draw. I think Arsenal
You
beat
think?
Leicester, yeah. and I think it will close that gap. What would be 4 points at that point? So that's what I'm going to say is going to happen.
That'll be interesting.
Probably wrong, but might as well.
I mean,
You said Arsenal were going to win the league. We took the mick, and
exactly.
genuinely, I
Oh
can't
my
lie.
oh, 4 games to go.
I can't
who
lie. That
knows?
clip could come back
Who
because
knows?
The end of the season is going to be very, very good.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
No, yeah. I mean, what was it? The final game of the season, Chelsea have got Liverpool at home, and then Arsenal have got Manchester United at home.
Yeah.
So like,
luckily fight for second. Honestly, like at this point,
yeah,
could be
it'd
anywhere.
be interesting, but yeah,
Oh my
can't
gosh.
wait
See,
until the final day.
Don't bring up that winning WSL. See, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. 'Cause
Well-
then I'm honestly such a fortune teller.
I just
I
hope
predicted it.
I just hope it will be like close. You know,
Yeah.
I love final day drama.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
absolutely brilliant. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to be involved in it, but I love just watching it from a
Yeah.
neutral point of
I
view.
think especially relegation ones, they're always like so good to watch. The thing is, right, we've gone through nearly like an hour and we still haven't even spoken about Championship. There's so much we could talk about.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for both joining me on
Also,
this.
can I just bring up, we
Yeah.
didn't mean to match.
Yeah, genuinely, we turned up.
That was not a
yeah.
plan. So.
We turned up and was like, oh, we have the same shirt.
Oh,
Got the
great.
same top on.
Literally, yeah.
But
Just
yeah,
put it out.
thank you guys for watching. This has been the Diamond Show. We are going to be back in, I want to say 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow the Blue Podcast Network on everything. We're going to start doing lives on TikTok, I think, for WSL games
Oh,
as
for sure,
well.
for sure. 100%.
Because especially coming
If anyone's down
toward-
for doing
yeah.
any of those, let me know.
Especially coming towards the end of the season,
Yeah.
we'll be doing. I'm gonna at least try and do some WSL games, Champions League games.
Yeah.
I'm gonna film some content at the Emirates soon. So yeah, keep an eye out for all of that. Thank you guys for watching, and until next week.